All right, so I finally just got around to seeing the first season of The Mandalorian. Now I know it's been out for a while. The third season just came out. Finally got my internet set up at my place, so I was like, you know what? Might as well watch The Mandalorian, see what it's all about. All right, so first things first, as this is the way. I know it's been a big deal in pop culture the past few years, and that it's one of those shows that if you like Star Wars, you should probably watch. And everyone raves about the show and everything, so I was like, kind of hyped for it. Watched the first episode, I was like, okay, this is okay. Like, it's not blowing my mind. And then I watched the second episode, and I still felt the same. And then the third episode, I was kind of like, I don't know. It's not doing it for me. It felt like regular Star Wars to me, and I like the Star Wars movies a lot. I consider myself a fan, but I will openly admit that there are lots of flaws in the Star Wars franchise.
That's heresy.
So it just felt like the status quo of what I've always personally felt about Star Wars. So then we get to the episode called Prisoner with Bill Burr, and the basic rundown of this episode is that the Mandalorian is working with this really shady group of people. They need to break this prisoner out of this transport ship, and I loved it. I think the reason why it worked so well for me and got me hooked into the show was we see more character development from the Mandalorian himself. And we also got just a very tight script where it was all centered in, like, more or less one location. They're kind of trapped on this transport ship, and I thought that worked really well because you have like this mental countdown. In 10 minutes time, there's going to be a bunch of ships that are going to come and take this thing out. You're running against the clock, but you're also all fighting each other and sneaking around, and lights are on and off, and you can't trust anybody. It just worked so well. And when that episode was over, I was like, dang it, that's over already? I wanted this to go like 2 hours. So that's when I knew I liked the show. From that episode forward, I thought the episodes were great. It just felt so different than the first half of the show. In a good way. Then we got to the season finale, which I really liked. The part where the droid comes in and shoots up the town and rescues the Mandalorian and his crew was just so cool. Like, I couldn't help but, like, sit there and smile. This is the first time I've ever seen a droid, like, be that awesome. So I really, really liked that part. I liked how they added humanity to the droid, even though obviously it's not human, but it was just interesting, like, we cared for him when he sacrificed himself for the main group. And you could tell the Mandalorian really cared for it as well. So I found that very interesting. I love when science fiction does that. Can we call Star Wars science fiction? No, not really, but because it's more like space fantasy. But for sake of this video and not re-editing that, I'm just gonna use the science fiction part. So I really liked the whole thing with Moff Gideon. I found him to be very imposing, very threatening and menacing, and he has this calm about him. Like, he's so calm, but then at the same time, you know, he's like just ready to snap, and you know that he can snap. So it's very interesting, and he's a fantastic actor, so I loved that. Plus, we finally have like a main villain for the series. At least it looks like for what they're setting up for the second season. It's good to have a main like villain for a show, especially a show that's, you know, limited episodes. Like, did the lights just flash? Especially for a show that's limited episodes. Well, I guess all shows are limited episodes, aren't they? Yeah, it's kind of stupid. especially for a show that's limited to 8 episodes. I just felt like that needed a main villain, and so we finally got one. My gripes with the show itself was that, like I said already, the first half just really mediocre, and so I went into it hyped up, and it was a letdown as far as that goes. I feel like the episodes, most of them come to a close really, really quickly. Like, it's almost like whoever was editing each episode was like,
oh wow, there's 20 minutes left of this episode, but we don't have time to put it in because we need it in this time frame. So let's kind of just quickly wrap it up.
That's how it felt, and just about every episode when it ended felt extremely rushed, especially the season finale. My other gripe with the show, and this is a weird one, but the main theme for the show, like the musical score, I was just not a fan of. It just doesn't sound right. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't sound right to me. It's just odd. It's not something I would have chosen to have as the main theme of our hero. But besides that, like, I was trying to pay attention to the rest of the soundtrack, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. So I don't know why exactly I don't like the theme, but it just felt odd. And of course, we can't not talk about how adorable the child is, the baby, the kid, Baby Yoda. I know he gets a name later on in the series, but he is so cute. It's unbelievable. Like, I've seen all the memes and all the GIFs or GIFs or whatever they're called.
Are they called GIFs or GIFs?
Well, the G stands for graphics. That's a hard G, so I say GIF.
What? The guy who invented it says it's GIF. I'm sorry, do you mean the guy or the Jai?
I understood the whole phenomenon of Baby Yoda being everywhere. Like, I get it, but to watch it on the screen in context, he's just so adorable. I love it. Surprisingly enough, the season finale was directed by Taiki Waititi, I think is how you pronounce his name. This dude, and he directed Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder, which I'm not a fan of, like, the direction he took the characters. He just was given, like, free reign, and it just took it to the extreme with humor to the point where it's just, like, so cringe. I was glad that wasn't in this episode at all. Overall, I really liked the season. I would say the last 3 to 4 episodes were definitely my favorite. My favorite episode of the show has got to be Prisoner, not only because the storyline was interesting and it kept me really engaged, but I found Bill Burr to be a really good actor. I was really surprised, so I liked that as well.
Thank you for verbally letting me know that you appreciated that. Thank you!
Overall, as a season, I would probably give this like a 6. But because the last few episodes were so much better, I'd probably bump this to a 7. And I know that certain people give me flack for giving things a 7 because that means I just can't make up my mind and I have no real opinion or something. But it's not an 8 and it's not a 6, so it's a 7. So it's too bad that annoys you. So yes, I enjoyed it. I am excited for season 2. I'm probably going to start season 2 in a few minutes. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. All right, have you seen The Mandalorian? I'm assuming if you've been around the past 3 years, you probably have. So, actually it's been more than 3 years now, hasn't it? Do you have a favorite episode of season 1? Leave a comment below as well. I would be very interested in reading that. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button. It's down here. It's below me on the screen. That sounds so wrong. Okay. Just press the like button if you enjoyed this video. I would much appreciate it. And if you like videos like this in general, talking about shows, movies, reactions, reviews, and stuff like that, consider subscribing to my channel. I would very much appreciate that. Alright, thanks for watching. My name is Aaron, and I hope you come back and see me in another video. Goodbye. Subscribe. This